Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast.
Good morning. So definitely let me know that you can hear me. And I want to thank everybody. You can't.
The broadcast
Now
is
you
now
can.
starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Now please let me know that you can hear me. I thought I pressed broadcast. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, John. So I just want to let everybody know, Doc, I haven't seen you in so long. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Good morning, Julio. I'm going to say good morning to everybody. I'm sure you all hate that. Aspen and Colleen and Patrick, everybody. I saw everybody at the webinar yesterday. I'm sure that, I mean, it's interesting. The crypto thing is interesting. I think let's leave it at interesting. I'm not the crypto person. Let's leave it at interesting. I'm into the news. I'm into, okay, Doc, good. You've been away and everything's fine. Stephen, it's a lot of commissions. Julio, you lost it. What did you lose? What'd you lose? Oh, I can get a copy for you, Julio. Send me an email. Send me an email. I'll send you a copy. I have a copy of it. I have a recording. I have a recording. It's no problem. No problem. We record everything. So I'm going to just let people roll into the room. I'm really, really happy that so many people signed up for this webinar, way more than normal. So that tells me something. First of all, it tells me that some of you are actually reading my emails, which is a real good thing because I think last year I was really complaining no one was reading my emails. My emails, 90% of them are informational, not sales. I want you to know that. So when you get an email from me, more often than not, it will be related to the trade room, trying to make money, something about a setup. I'm generally not selling. I mean, I will be selling this weekend, but you're not going to get those emails. Okay. You're not going to get become a member email. Why would you? Okay. You're already a member, most of you. But if you're not a member, you might get an email from me this weekend about becoming a member because trading's been really good. Okay. And and that's that. We're going to let that go as it is. We know that things have been pretty good. Um, but I'm really glad to see so many people here today. And I'm not totally ready today, and this isn't totally ready today, but I'm so excited about it. And we all have it for free, this tool. I want to give people a head start on how to use this tool that's sitting in our toolbox that we can use. And earnings are coming up, and I've always wanted to find a way to try and trade earnings safely, and we may have found something really cool. So that's the main reason for this webinar. And also Stephen, who really, if we're honest about this, if it was not for Stephen, we would not have this upgrade because it was his idea. And I had an idea about a consolidation trade, and Steven said, you know, I've been trading like that my whole life. Why don't you do this? Not my whole life, but he said, I've been trading like that. Why don't you add this? Why don't you add that? Why don't you do this? And I tried to add as much as what he asked me to add to the program. And so Steven's going to come on today and show, hopefully be able to show his charts if I can get go to webinar working properly and go over some of his setups also. Um, what's interesting about earnings, I'm going to show a couple of earnings. Um, and myself and Chantal, and I know I've pronounced her name wrong because we've been laughing about it. I can't pronounce her name properly. Colleen, I'm definitely recording. This will be recorded so that you'll be able to get a copy of the recording. Because even if things don't go 100% right, there'll be enough good information in it that you could use. Okay. Forgive me, I have to eat this banana because I had to take some I've had to take some medicine or I'm gonna die. It's just that simple. So bear with me. Um, so I'm recording this, but what's kind of interesting is I've always wanted to trade earnings. If you could find, I've always believed, when I was a TradeStation user, I used to trade earnings on TradeStation, but it was impossible. You just never knew what was going on. I didn't have a setup. Um, I had to guess when the earnings came out, and you still kind of never know for sure if the company is going to be right on time with their earnings. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they say they're going to do it at 4:01 and they come out at 4:02. They're not always exact. And that's why there's ways that I'll show you that you can keep yourself safe. Let me try to get a couple of things out of the way first. A lot of people thought they were here to trade the University of Michigan report. And then, just like you, I got the HIRA from Jay yesterday, and the HIRA said, we're not trading University of Michigan. Okay. And I've been agonizing all week because it's such a lousy report these days. It doesn't test well, it doesn't do anything well. So I got this HIRA from Jay yesterday, and Jay is the HIRA guy. That's his job. His big job here is to write the HIRAs, adjust the HIRAs, argue with me about the HIRAs, because we're in the room. So we give Jay lots of information for the hires. But what he said is we'll sit out preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment as it has been souring lately, and there's no viable alternative approach at this time. Now, that's a great sentence. It's just at this time. It doesn't mean University of Michigan is finished forever. It means right now gold isn't working, the yen isn't working, and bonds aren't working. Those are the three big, good morning, Paul. Those are the three big indexes that we trade with the University of Michigan, and they've not been trading well. We haven't been making money on the report. If we have been making money, we've been making one tick. It's just not been a good report. So I figured we came across this. Stephen and I have been working on this consolidation trade that we have, and it's part of what you already have in your toolbox. If you go to your strategy chart, if you have charts up, or if you just watch me, I have a setup up, and I'm going to just show you something. But if you right click your chart, go to strategies, it's a breakout. So you start your breakout trade, and then instead of choosing breakout on entry type, in order to make an adjustment, your enabled has to be false, okay? And your letters have to be black or you can't make an adjustment, okay? So here's the steps you have to have. Your breakout has to be highlighted, okay? The trade itself. And then your enabled must be on false. And if you've already enabled the trade and it's on true, then the way you get it back so you can adjust it is by turning it off, making true false, and hitting apply. Now I can readjust my trade. You'll notice that I have one click range trade chosen instead of breakout trade. Okay. That's the tool that I'm talking about. What I have here is an earnings setup for Amazon. But what's interesting, it's completely different from Chantal's earning setup on Amazon. Okay. So, of course, the interesting thing about this trade is there are many different setups. I will supply the indicators for Steven's setup and my setup and anybody else who has a setup. There's only one issue that hasn't been resolved yet, It will not matter for earnings, um, but it might matter for other trades. We'll have to see. There's an indicator called Anna Supertrend, and right now, as far as I can see, the only way to get the right one is to become a member of Futures IO, and then you can download the indicator. Now, they also have hundreds of really useful, interesting indicators. Not hundreds, but they have hundreds of indicators you can download and a lot of interesting things. It's not appropriate for me to give everybody that indicator unless I can find it for free on the internet. If I can find it for free on the internet, then I will give it out. But if I can't, I'm trying. Right now, I'm in the middle of trying to negotiate a cheaper price. I don't know if they'll even talk to me, but I emailed them yesterday to see if they'll let me have the indicators cheaper if I send you all to them, okay, to get indicators. Stephen says they have hundreds of indicators. Stephen is a big proponent of Futures IO. He says join, become a member. They have enough useful stuff that it's worth it. They review trading rooms. They haven't reviewed us yet. Maybe one day they will. Who knows? Maybe they won't like us. Um, but the point is, it's a forum, a lot of good information up there. I've been up there for years. I don't spend a lot of time up there just because I haven't had time, but I think it's a pretty good website. So there are a lot of tools out there. One good thing is that it's a way to protect yourself from the sharks that are out there because people that get ripped off, they post it on that website. So if you have a question, I wanted to buy this indicator or that indicator. If that company rips somebody off, more often than not, their rip-off report is up there. Stephen, when you say they record webinars, whose webinars do they record? I saw that and I just wasn't sure. So the point is that there's a lot of information. So even if we have to spend $100 to do the setups perfectly, you'll make that decision whether or not you want to spend the money. You'll see that, maybe you'll feel you don't have to, that you could see the setup without the indicator. The indicator we're talking about creates this blue line here where my arrow is, and it also can create a red line also, and we use it for when price crosses over as an entry signal. So that's why it's reasonably important, okay? But you can make your own decision as to whether or not you feel like you need to have that indicator. And like I said, if I can find it for free on the internet, I'll give it out because if it's out there for free, then I won't give it out. I'll just tell you where to get it for free. But I have not been able to find it. There are super trend indicators out there, but they're not the right ones. So look, that's just a little bit of business out of the way. What I plan on doing in the very near future, just to give you an idea, I'm going to have a sheet and it's going to look sort of like this. And I'm asking Steven, I'm kind of begging Steven to do something like this also, because I realize these are the things we need. Now, this is an incomplete sheet. Keep in mind, we're not 100% done with our setups yet. So, but I was kind of so excited about this. I wanted to have this webinar so I could show you this stuff. But I'm going to have a set of rules. I'm going to show you what indicators I've used. If there's any special settings on the indicator, I'll tell you what the indicators are. And that way you'll be able to make your charts look like our charts so that if you want to follow along in the trade room and learn, it'll make it much easier to learn. Okay? You know me, I always put the current day OHL on everything. There's a free indicator out there called ADVXMA alerts that I found all over the internet. We're debating about whether or not we're going to use the 200 SMA, trade only longs above it, trade only shorts below it. Um, the EMAs, the 3 and 21, I have in a separate panel. We're debating whether or not we need the Anna squeeze 100%. It's a good confirmation signal. But so I just want to give you a heads up. We're not fully done yet, but we're really getting close. And Steven's going to come on and talk about some of the things he does. And I want to show you, I'm trying to get ready in time for some earnings. So maybe we'll have a couple of earnings rooms. Um, and I'll be able to show you some things about earnings. Chantal and I have been working on finding companies that you got to figure this. There's at least 8 to 10 companies where their earnings are so dramatic, they move the market so much that there's got to be a way to take advantage of that movement. And that's what the goal of this is. This is going to be so you could see a random setup for Amazon earnings. And it's just so fascinating and so exciting to show because I think it can work. That's why we're doing the webinar, because everybody has this tool and I want to give people an opportunity to learn how to use this tool because this tool is more powerful than I thought. In all honesty, when I originally, after I show this, I'll give you an idea of why I originally designed this. And when I originally designed it, it was for a very simple consolidation and breakout, but it's way more interesting than that. So, first thing I want to try to do is I wanted to try and figure out how I could get Steven to share his stuff. Let me show you the earnings first, and then maybe we'll take 3 minutes and I'll try and figure out how I can get Steven on here. The tool, Daniel, is, oh, I don't know if you're a member, Daniel. It's part of our software. It's just called the one click range trade. We just did an upgrade to our software where in our software we have a breakout trade, we have a trap trade, we have a range trade, which is a time-based trade, and we also now have the one-click range trade. Now, the idea and the thing that you can easily forget is to make sure with earnings, you have to find out a couple of things. Number one, you got to find out, obviously, the day the earnings are. You want to find out what time the earnings are going to be. And you got to make sure the market's open. There are companies that give their earnings when the markets are closed. So there's a little bit of homework involved if you're going to do it by yourself. Otherwise, I'm planning on having some rooms for earnings. Whether we make it for this earnings period or not, I'm not sure, but regardless, we still have the consolidation tool. And we're only a couple of weeks away, I think, from having some rooms where we'll use the consolidation tool just to trade. Whether we'll do it after news or before news, I haven't decided yet. Not sure. I want to do some more investigation, but I'm still pretty excited about it. And you'll see when Steven talks the things that he's doing with it that are great. Now, the one thing that I noticed is I believe that you probably can do earnings on a 1 minute chart, but I'm going to leave it set up so I can show you the testing that I did, exactly how I did it. The setup I'm using, and I'm not saying this setup is etched in stone either. Keep in mind, all of this is very preliminary. Okay. Um, and I don't want anyone to be upset. Hey, I'm not trading the University of Michigan. Today could be a good trade. You know the deal. But it's been so mediocre for so long that maybe next month, and I know I've been putting this off and putting it off. Good morning, Arthur. I've been putting it off and putting it off. Um, but we are going to test the dollar. And some of these trades that haven't been working may very well work on the dollar. The big issue and the constant back and forth that Jay and I go through is he feels very strongly there may not be enough liquidity in the dollar for us to trade it in the room. Lucas, it'll be recorded without a doubt. So basically, we're talking about the one click range trade right now and how I'm setting it up to use it with earnings. Okay. So there's a couple of dangers that you have with earnings, just like you have with any trade. There are always dangers. Um, I would love to find a setting where we could just do a set it and forget it for earnings. So, not sure I'm going to be able to do that. We may have to manage it a little more. But my original goal was, hey, let's put the trade on, walk away, and it should be able to do earnings on its own. That's not what we're going to do today. And when I'm talking earnings, Lucas, what I mean is when, for instance, when Amazon comes out with earnings, Amazon moves the NQ like crazy. So NQ is futures, Job trades futures. We use the one click range to trade futures. So that's the concept. Okay. We're looking for an index that's going to move like crazy when a company releases their earnings. So maybe there'll even be some companies that release their earnings before the market opens, but most of the big companies are after. And I figure we should be able to get Apple. I was thinking we'd be able to get Netflix. Chantal's telling me no, it's not working. Um, Amazon is working. Apple, my guess, will work. Facebook could possibly work. Things like IBM, Google, Alphabet. I think we could find 10 to 15 at least companies that move the indexes enough that we can find a trade to make some money on. And it's all going to depend on setups. So, I figure my job is to find the setups, bring them into the room, and then we could trade them. In other words, the setup will be like an earnings hire. Okay. So this is something that we're working on, and that's what I wanted to show you today. So Amazon had earnings on 7/27. Okay. And their earnings that day were 401, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, they were 401. And so I did a setup. And what's interesting, it's totally different from Chantal's setup. My thought was we would always need a big amount of ticks above and below the range to prevent you from being pulled into the trade on the wrong side. So that's how I personally set it up. So you could see my range. The key here is don't forget to put the trade on. Okay. The one click range trade, you have to get your settings set. Don't have any other workspaces open under any circumstances. No other workspaces. Okay. And in fact, I'll check that too, because you want to make sure you don't have any issues with the buttons showing up. Now, my setup is I'm 15 ticks above the range and 15 ticks below the range. Now, some people say, wow, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of ticks. But we're talking the NASDAQ. That's 4 points. An earnings report could move the NASDAQ 20 points, 15 points. A 10-point move on the NASDAQ is not that much. Okay. So, and who cares? So what? If we have a big setup, a big bracket, and it doesn't get filled, then we don't trade. That's the way we do things. We're used to that. So, but it may well be that the Amazon setup is smaller. It may be that we have setups for Amazon, it may be we have setups for Apple, or we may come up with a universal setup. I'd like to come up with a universal setup, but I'm not there yet. So right now my Amazon setup is 15 ticks above and below the range. I'm such a lunatic, I can't keep the University of Michigan out of my mind just to see what it does, but that's all right. 15 ticks above and below the range. The other setup I'm on is my one click range trade is on. And then what's interesting is I'm using three positions. Um, I'm using 10 ticks profit on my first, 20 on my second. My third is 0. And I have my trailing stop on, which you'll see what happens. And then when my first target is hit, I'm going to move my stop to break even. That's all I'm doing. Okay. My trailing stop step is set to 1. That means every time it makes a new high, it'll move one step in our direction. The key is, so Amazon's earnings are at 401. So I put my trade on at 359.56. but you got to remember to okay it, to apply it. I mean, it's going to take some remembering. So apply it, okay it, make sure you're enabled there. Your one-click range trade is here. You turn on the trade and double click so that your trade is ready. You want to be in the trade, ready to be in the trade. Maybe the news will come out a little bit early. Hopefully not, because the odds are you could get stopped out if it's early, or if you get pulled in early and then the news comes out, you could get stopped. But we're watching the time for 401. Now, what Chantal found worked better was she put her trade on at 401 and used a smaller set of brackets. And I'll show you how that could work also, because her setup was different. What I'm doing is I'm putting the trade on a minute before, because I like to watch and see what happens. But you could see if your bracket wasn't big enough, you would have gotten pulled in on the long side. The other interesting thing we are discovering about earnings is you don't need any of your indicators. They don't matter. We're not necessarily breaking out of a consolidation, or, I mean, it does break in or out of consolidations, but in general, it explodes. Okay. We're using the one-click range trade to manage the trade. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching right now. It filled my first target. It moved my stop, and then it went so fast it filled me and finished. Okay. Now, I might have made an, a mistake also. Let me check. It got my 10, my 20. Bear with me. And this is why I haven't released this yet. My confusion, Chantal, is if my trail was on, Stephen, maybe you could answer this. It should have kept me in the trade. Why did it take me out of the trade? So that's what I have to investigate. Point is, though, I mean, I'll still take my 235 and I'll investigate why, and find out. But so that's Amazon on 727. The same trade Chantal entered at a different time. She set it up this way. So you're setting up the one-click range trade. Chantal, how many ticks above and below did you use? You used two. She set it up 2 ticks above and below the trade. So the chance for a profit is much higher. Okay. Now look, we happen to know what this particular trade does. So it's cheating, but she tested a lot of trades, so it's okay. We're not cheating. I'm just showing you. She used a target of 20. I know what I did wrong. My position size should have been 0. That's why it took me out of the trade. And that's why the trail didn't work. Okay. So the mistake I made is position 3 must be 0. And if we go back, let me show you. Let me go back and show you. 10, 20. I'll leave my trade the way it was. What was I set? My setting was, I did this at the last second, you guys. Who remembers what my setting was above and beyond? Was it 10? It was 15, I think. That's right. 15 ticks above and below. If it was 10, you'd get pulled in on the wrong side. But I want to show you that if your position 3 is set to 0, you will get the trail to work properly. So set the trade. Now, I should have really, what you should always do is set your time first, because sometimes the trade will get turned off, just because Ninja does that. 359, I did 55. Hopefully Ninja won't turn my trade off, so I have to reset it again. It didn't. Hopefully I'm set right. Let's try that trade one more time. So you have to remember, start the trade, start if you're in real life, you got to turn the trade on. at the moment that you're ready for the earnings to come out. Okay, a couple of seconds before. So we're expecting the earnings at 4:01. I put my trade on at 4. That's why I gave myself a big bracket. If you expect the trade only 1 or 2 seconds before it's coming out, then you don't need nearly the size of bracket that I used. Okay. So in 30 seconds, you'll see what's going to happen and see it protected me. Before an earnings report, there is always quite a bit of volatility. Using that big bracket protected me from being pulled in long because that was a long signal in our normal consolidation trade. All right. That we're ignoring because we're not looking for a normal consolidation trade. We're looking for earnings. We're looking for an earnings explosion because Amazon is the kind of company that creates an earnings explosion in the NASDAQ most of the time. Okay, so here we go. We're after 401. Earnings probably just came out. They just came out. You could see by the movement, it's really moving. It fills us, and now it should head down. Keep me in the trade, I hope. And it still didn't. So I'm going to check my settings, but that's okay. The point is, I'll make sure when I send you the settings that they're sent right. Okay. I have to go over why my trail, what I'm doing wrong with the trail, and that's fine. Let's look at the way that Chantal set it up, just so you could see another setup with earnings. There's no point wasting time on something that I'm not positive about. I'll be positive when I release, when I tell you to that it's safe to do this. Right now, you can experiment with this in sim. Don't use real money unless you're positive it's working properly, but I guarantee you it will work properly. Chantal does it with a 2 and 2 on ticks above and below the range. She does, you don't have to worry about entry time or any of that stuff. Chantal, you do 2 positions, 1 of 20, right? 1 of 40. 3 positions. I'm not sure if that's why and what's you don't use a third target, correct? No third target. Her stop she uses is 25. Your target one stop move is break even, right? And then trailing on or off. Trailing on or off. Second target. You use second target break even plus 20. Okay. And then trailing, I thought you had off. Andre, either I'll give new hires or we'll just set it up in the trade room. That's the truth. Patrick thinks I'm out because I reached my 2 targets. Yeah, that's what I think too, Patrick. I thought I left it on the trailing, but I'll double check that. This we're going to leave on the trailing. And Chantal, your entry time is 4:01 on the dot, right? Different from mine. Is that correct? And I did the same thing I told you not to do. Do set up your time first in your simulator if you're testing earnings. Now, obviously, folks, don't do earnings on a stock without testing them first. See if it's a stock that moves the market. Otherwise, the danger is, you might get into a trade that doesn't exist. Okay? It might be a trade that doesn't exist. I'll go over that, Julio. Ask me that again because that's a little tricky also. Where do you find the earnings announcements? But it's really not hard. Earnings Whispers is a site. If you're a member, if you use TOS as your platform, they're really good. You just find the earnings times on there. You can Google the earnings of the stock. It'll give you the date. It's a little trickier to find the time. You can Google to go to the stock's website. But again, if we're going to have a room, if I'm going to have a room for earnings, I'm going to have that information beforehand. I'm going to have that information beforehand. So Chantal, just look at my setup. Forgive me for never pronouncing your name correctly, and just make sure my setup is right. So the setup is 2 ticks above and below, 1 click range trade, 3 positions, 20 ticks, 40 ticks, Do you use a profit target of 3 is 0, right? And everything is fine. So we're ready to go. Time is 4:01. Now, if you're testing, don't forget when you're testing, press play and turn the trade on by clicking it twice. Now the earnings are out. Okay, it's 4:01. That's why you didn't need a big bracket. And now it's trailing. Okay, it's still in short, and now you kind of got to manage your short manually. Although, no, I take it back. It's trailing. Okay, as long as it's trailing, it's still working. So her setup was a lot better than mine. It's still in short, and bingo, it went back up and stopped us out. Now, keep in mind a sim profit of 550 is probably a sim profit of 400, 350. Although possibly on these tests it may be less slippage than a breakout trade, but you can't count the same profit on sim that you get on a regular trade. Now, just for fun, how about we do one that I haven't even looked at? What's another Amazon time that I downloaded the data? I believe I downloaded 2.2. So let's use her setup. See how it disappeared? Let's see if it stays. Go to 2.2, February 2nd, 2017, 4010, right? And unfortunately, our strategy got blown out. Sometimes when you're testing, your strategy gets blown out and you have to put it back in. 2.2 would be NQ317 would be the instrument. And then give me a second, I'll set up her test. Just to give you an idea, this is a tool you have, okay? That's the point of all this, that we have this tool and you can experiment with it. So ticks above and below, she sets to 2. That's all you have to do there. Make sure you're on range trade when you're testing, one-click range trade. She used 2 positions, 3 positions, and she used a target of 20, a target of 40, a no third target, a stop of 30 on the NASDAQ, break even. Did you use break even and break even plus 20? I believe that's what she said on the setup. Trailing, yes. You don't have to trail if you don't want to. You can manage your way out of the trade. That's up to you. Whatever is easier for you. There's no set rule with the way our software works. And now, start it and start it. The key is to get, if you're testing, is to get that trade on quick so that you don't miss the move, okay? Because we got the move just on time. This is a different trade, okay? So I would not want to give it all up. No matter what, I would not want to give it all up. You could hit the combined targets if you want to, if you're patient, okay? If you're patient, if you're impatient like me, I could have made ballpark 235. Let's do the same exact trade again and just let it play itself out, okay? You have to hit the button one click range, absolutely. If you forget to hit that button, you're not going to enter a trade, you're just going to watch the range move, okay? So that won't help you, it'll just move the range, okay? So she starts her trade at 401. Unfortunately, we're just unlucky today in that the strategies are just blowing themselves out. We have to re-enter them. There's nothing you can do about it. So it was 2 and 2, but it's okay because this way you learn how to enter in uh, an earnings test. Okay, 2 and 2, you go down to breakout, you make it one click range trade. Two positions, we're using 20 ticks. Let's do a little bit more conservative, just for fun. Let's do 10 ticks. Let's do 20 ticks. No profit on the third. Stop loss is 30 because that's what she said. She's almost always right with her stop. She's really good. Chantal is a phenomenal tester. It's something she enjoys doing, and if you like testing, again, you're going to make more money. Break even plus 20. And let's use the trailing stop and let's just let it run and see what happens. And then turn it on. So now what you have to remember to do when you're testing, and you can test earnings on 1 minute. I'm on the 210 tick, which is for consolidation trades, but 1 minute is fine for earnings. Hit start, hit the range entry quick. Get it started quick. We're entered into the trade. I'm just watching it. I'm not going to do a thing. I've already made $50. Okay. So it took me out. It reversed. I made ballpark 95 bucks. Okay. That's if I did nothing. That was fast. It reversed. That's what got us. Okay. And my targets were small, but that's what it moved. That's the way that particular one worked. You're not always going to make a lot of money, but she says, no, use 20 and 30. Okay. But anyway, I just wanted to show you some samples of earnings. I had never looked at that one, so I had no idea what it was going to do. No idea whatsoever. I've never done Facebook. I don't think I've downloaded the data. So next time. Let's stop for a second and take questions. All right. Let me take, anybody have any questions? Kirk asks, what do you mean it will save my settings, Kirk? What do you mean, will it save my settings? Yes, Chris, actually on earnings, you barely need indicators, but I'll show the indicators before Steven comes on. Okay, so here's the setup that I used on this particular trade. They are going to be there after the trade. You can't, for some reason, Kirk, you could try making them default and naming them. What I do is I take a picture of them, snipping tool, new, take a picture of it, save it, and I call that, put it on the desktop, and I call it Chantal Amazon's earnings. Okay. But the one thing you have to remember is her starting time is 4:01. So you have to keep a journal if you're going to do this. You have to be a grown up about it. Keep a journal, keep information if you want to do this. It's a little bit more complicated than just a simple news trade. But think about it this way. Before you ever did a news trade, before you ever looked at a HIRA, you didn't know all the things you had to do before a news trade. It's no more different. It's no more different. You won't see the buttons unless the trade is enabled, Steve. The trade has to be enabled. There are no buttons unless a trade is enabled. And it has to be on one click range trade. And it has to be one click range trade. If you're not getting any buttons, I'm guessing that you have too many workspaces open. How many workspaces that you have open? Okay, Kath, I'll see you. Steve, send me a copy of your settings if you would. Okay? Let me give you my email. Sometimes the buttons will show up on the other chart, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's an anomaly about a ninja. I'll show you what I mean. But here's an email you can use for me. What happens, Steve? Is it Steve? Yes. The buttons might show up here on the adjusting chart. Make sure they're not there, okay? Make sure they're not there. All right. Chantal, do you want to tell me to tell them anything that I've left them out? Yes, don't have any extra charts open, Steve, for this. Just two. The chart for the trade and the chart for the adjustment in Ninja 7. I'm working on Ninja 8 to see if I could find this indicator on Ninja 8. Stephen, did we ever decide if this was open, available, if for Ninja 8, we're not going to need anything. We're going to be able to set this up. But for the way Steven works, we wanted to know if the super trend was available on Ninja 8. That was something I don't have an answer for yet. I didn't know if he knew or not. Okay, so we have a lot of questions. Lucas, how do I get the new software? Send me an email, Lucas, and just tell me if you don't have the new software, why? Why don't you have the new software? Why don't you have the new software? Why didn't you read our Christmas emails, you crazy people? All right, lots of questions. Let's step back. Let's step back. Okay, how do I get the new software for Lucas or anybody? If you don't have the new software, let me give you the link if you want to be really nice to me and find it and download it yourself. If you don't feel like being nice to me, that's allowed also. Send me an email, but tell me what version of Ninja you're using. If you don't tell me what version of Ninja, then I'm not going to send you anything because I don't know what to send. So the email you're going to use, send it to support, okay? So the bosses know what's going on. They don't think I'm hiding. And I'll send you the files that you need. But here's the link. Let me find the link, if you bear with me, for our new software. I didn't realize that so many people have not downloaded our new software. We sent 8,000, 8,000 emails on where the new software is. Hold on, because now I don't know where it is. It's so long ago. Uh, it's almost easier right now. If you send me an email, I'll send you the software. It takes me less than 15 seconds. I can't find the darn link. Can't find the link. I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll put it in an email. Just send me an email. Just make sure you tell me what version. That's question one. Julio, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Hira or if we're just going to have some sort of earnings set up. Okay. Not sure it's going to be an official Hira, but there will be something. Okay. Hopefully, though, I mean, there has to be something. That's our job. Okay. Where do you find earnings release calendars? So, Brian, um, TOS members have it easy. They do a great job of showing their stuff. James, oh, James, you're saving me. James found the link for our software. Beautiful. On our website, if you log in as a member, okay, here's the link for the software. You can get a demo, free demo for TOS if you want to use it but Chantal, how long can you keep the demo? There's the link for the software, but I will happily send it to you also because there is an error that can occur if you install with Ninja 7. So if you're installing Ninja 7, read the help file, please. There's a serialization error that's so easy to fix, nothing to worry about. But if it happens, people tend to panic. So, because errors scare people, don't uh, get scared. There's a real easy fix. Okay. It happened to me when I installed the new version for the first time, and it's not our fault. It's Ninja. Okay. It has to do with templates and dates being different. So don't panic. If you get, Ninja cannot deserialize the strategy or something of that sort. We have a fix, and in fact, I send the document fix with the software, so don't worry about it. Okay. Where else can you find earnings? There's a website, just like we use Forex Factory, just like we use investing.com. I'll supply websites, websites like Invest in Earnings Whispers. Um, Chantal uses TOS. Yahoo Finance, I've been told, is a good place to look for earnings. You can Google the stocks if you want to practice on your own. It's real close to earnings. So whether or not we'll get very many real earnings rooms done, I'm not sure if we'll get our testing done in time. I'm going to try and get a couple. Okay. Toss will give you a free demo. So you could, if you feel like dealing with that. It's just Chantal for a lot of people. They don't want to load another platform, if you know what I mean. So that's if somebody wants to help you. What do you mean? I'm sorry. Toss. I don't have Toss. I had it years ago, but it looks very nice to find the earnings and they show the time pretty well. Let me just go back and make sure. Is the NQ used for all news reports? Brian, if I find an index that works better, right now most of the big ones, we're really only talking about hopefully, 5 to 10 trades. It's not a lot of trades, but I'll take $1,000 extra in profit if we can make it, or more if we can make it. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just one more thing you can do. If we can add 10 trades a quarter for earnings or 8 trades a quarter, I'm all in favor of that. Right now, it's mostly NQ. And also, the consolidation trading is very NQ oriented, because the NQ is a great index to trade. It moves very well. Okay. Chantal is saying if anybody wants to email and help her do testing, she's open. Okay. Because she does so much by herself. That's the truth. Let me make sure I'm getting all the questions. So Julio, not positive how we're going to officially do reports, hires, and stuff like that yet. Lucas, you know how to get the new software. Steve, you're going to double check your buttons. The buttons could show up in different places. Do not ever have just 2 charts when you do this stuff. Steven, I don't know how many charts you use. Hopefully, I'll be able to get you going so you can show your charts. I'm just checking to see. Ted, I didn't understand what you said. Don't try and get a one tick chart with 100 days. I didn't know what you meant. That's not something I would do anyway. Bear with me. I'm just scrolling through to make sure I have all the questions answered. You need to hit the button, yes, Andre, to turn on the one-click range trade. Like, let's say you're just going to do a one-click range trade and not earnings, right? How do you just use the one-click range trade? Let me just give you a brief overview of that, and then I'm going to bring Stephen on. Stephen, what would take forever to download? The one tick 100-day chart? Yeah, that's something, Ted, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do it. So not to worry about something like that. I wouldn't do that. Um, let's say you just want to use it. Originally, my original thought with the one-click range trade was simple. Was nothing like what it is now. It was to use our regular trade room chart, right? So let me load it, which I wouldn't normally do, is keep 2 workspaces open. I'll just do it real quick. It's not even going to work. I'm just going to show you what my original idea was. No reason other than just to show you what I was thinking and how it developed into something so much better. And we can do it live. It doesn't matter. And we'll take a look. Let's see what University of Michigan did too. So I'm going to disconnect my market replay and I'm just going to connect live, see what the markets are doing. 6J318 was one of the possible indexes. I was going to say today it would have been a good trade, right? The yen would have worked today, of course. Not gigantic though. Look, you would have had a 5 tick bracket, okay? So maybe you would have gotten in somewhere around here. Not a gigantic trade, if you think about it. Gold was my second choice at 10 o'clock. Gold was my second choice. So GC 218. 10 o'clock. Again, would have used a bracket of 4 on gold. And might have hit, who knows, would it have hit the first target? Tops. You could see, not a big mover. It's a consolidation. You're in a consolidation, and this is perfect. My original idea with the consolidation trade was to do this. Put the trade on, create a consolidation. I would use, say, 3 or 4 ticks above or below the range. I wasn't really thinking anything sophisticated at all. 1 click range trade. I didn't have targets set. I'm just going to leave it the way it is because I want to just show you real quick what my original idea was. Enable it before the market breaks out, if it does. And it was almost going to be a set and forget kind of trade. Let me see if I can. So see how my buttons showed up on the other page? And I did something wrong, so hang on, folks. Bear with me. Let me turn it off. But my idea was if I saw a consolidation, and I'm learning this as we go too, and believe me, I'm not going to do anything until I know it 100%. I promise. So 1 click range. Mauricio reboot. Sound is working. My concept was if I saw the market breaking out, I wanted to break out of the trade and get filled. Now, why I'm not working, I might have to reset my Ninja. I'm not sure. Let's try it one more time. And I'm not seeing, I know why, because I'm not on the, nope, I should be seeing it. I should be seeing it. Hang on a second, folks. Let's kill that. Let me redo my index real quick. And then I'm going to bring Steven on anyway. Because why I was going to do it doesn't really matter. Steven, I got to figure out how to make you I have to figure out how to make you a presenter. I don't know if I can do it. I'll figure it out. I hope. So my idea, I'll try it one more time. Let me get rid of all this extraneous stuff. My idea was a 1 minute chart. You have a consolidation. I had the 1 click range trade. Bracket of 3 above and below the trade. Choose one click range trade. Profit target, I don't know, 6, 12, stop of 12-ish. Move my stop to break even. That would have worked. Apply it. Now my buttons are in the right place. Now, my idea was I'd put the trade on, kind of walk away, and I'm not saying that this isn't even a viable situation, and I'm waiting for a breakout or a breakdown, a break up above the range or a breakdown because we're in a big consolidation. The other thing I might have done is had a bigger look back area. One of the things is one click look back should be at least 15 or 20. Okay. I only have it set to 10. That way it's going to fill you at the range, the high of the range. I got filled at the low of the range, which was my idea for the trade, but that was my concept. My concept was very simple. It was just a simple breakout or breakdown. That's all I was going to do. It's not always the same time, Julio, so that's something we'll have to check. It's almost always after 4, Amazon. They are February 2nd. It is February 2nd. So that was my idea. That was my idea for the trade. But in discussing it and talking to people about it, and in seeing how it's working, which it's not right now, and it doesn't mean it's not going to, but more there are safer ways to put the trade on. Okay. I didn't want to just throw the thing out there and have people lose money. So I did a fair amount of research on this and we're still doing it. So let me bring Steven on. Let me get rid of this chart. I wish I could figure out how to show his charts. Steven, let me see if we can figure out how to show you. I'm not on my right workspace anyway, so let me get rid of this workspace. This is the workspace that we would normally use for what Steven is doing. And he would be trading, if he was doing it today, he'd be trading NQ 318 if he were doing it live. This is a totally different setup. So just to be clear, we're going to have multiple setups for the one click range trade. The first setup is going to be earnings because it's simple, it's straight ahead, and people understand it. You can always have multiple strategies running, KW. The issue is, can you control multiple strategies? I can't. I don't want multiple strategies running at one time. It's too complicated for me. In all honesty, I just have too much difficulty. Let me see if I can add Steven as an organizer or not. If I can't, I'll just let him talk and he'll explain it. I don't know how to do it. So, Steven, let me give you the mic. There may be another way I can do it. Hang on one second. Steven, you have
All
the
right.
mic. Let me
Okay.
see. I can make you a presenter, okay? I'm making you a presenter. You should be able to show your screens.
All righty.
Okay, Steve, yep, we got your screens. We should be able to see your screens now.
Show my screen. There you are. Well,
There you
there
go.
is
Okay.
uh,
So if you just want to just talk, Steve, about what you do, and people will listen, and I'll answer questions when you're done, or you'll answer if you don't mind.
okay. Well, just to show you that gold that you just took, was up here. I usually like to wait until it breaks that U11 before I get into it. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know. Are you looking at this? Let's see.
Let me see if I have something to go ahead
You're
and
on.
get.
All right, you're looking at my NQ. All right, I moved over to gold.
Maybe
Um,
explain to them, they don't know what the most people don't know what that U11 is yet. I didn't go over the indicators.
all right, that's that. This is a super trend. This blue line up here, that's a super trend, and I wait for that to break. What I've got on here is I've got a 21-day SMA in here, and then I've got like a Bollinger Band around it. One deviation. All right, if you were to set it up, so it's just one deviation for that Bollinger Band. So I like to be below that. I like to break the U11, which is your super trend. Okay. All right. Now this just worked over here on the left, and it just emptied out. So it just, that little thing that we had running there at NQ just worked over there. So and yeah, I think you probably saw that.
I can see it above your gold chart.
Oh, all right. You can see my gold chart. Okay. All
We
right.
can see
Well,
both. We can see
yeah,
both.
what happened? I had one tick on the NQ here, and it just took off and did a little something over there. I'm
Did
not
it get
not sure
filled
what.
on the short side or no?
Yeah, no, it got filled on the short side.
Okay.
Uh, so when I look at it here down here, let's just see what happened.
AM, I'll
I
answer
got
all your questions.
I got $60 for that one. You know, this is what's been going on this morning. I've just been clicking on everything and watching it go. So that little thing just got $60.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let me ask you a couple of things so people have an idea of what you're doing. I guess they want to know what indicators you're using. So you're using the ANA Super Trend. Is it called this? It's just the Super Trend U11.
Yes,
Okay.
it's an ANA super trend, and I think it's Fat Tails that creates this. To tell you the truth.
Uh-huh.
So now there was something here I was looking at that we could actually where is it? Over here. Now anybody can go to this Futures IO.
Okay.
You don't need to join,
Okay.
but you can get out here and you can take a look at what they've got. For example, if I went to trading webinars,
Okay.
uh, this was yesterday's webinar. This was the day before. I mean, they have tons of webinars out here that people come. I mean, it's great information
Okay.
for people. I mean, you might find something in here you can really use. So there's tons of webinars. You have to be a member for that though.
Right. Membership
But
is free.
right. Well,
Elite
membership is free.
membership is paid.
Yeah, it's $100.
Right.
Now you can come over here to indicators, and now with here, where are we here? Indicators. All right, and then over here you'll see all the different indicators, the most popular indicators, the delta bars, the price action. This quotient transform indicator I was talking about the other day. This is actually an NT8 indicator. And if you can go over here, if you looked at that, it tells you how long this move is going to be.
That's really
It's
interesting.
very unique. It's on NT8 only though.
Okay.
But I mean, there's like 400 indicators out here that you can, once you're an elite member. I used to buy indicators like $97 from
Sure.
Ninjacators,
Sure.
but for $100, all these indicators are available to me now. I mean, they're mine to use,
Okay.
and that's great. I mean, that's just because if I come over here and if you're depending on if you're using MetaTrader, TradeStation, multi-charts, whatever you're using, you can, for example, here there's NinjaTrader, and NinjaTrader 8 indicators, NinjaTrader 7, 6.5. I mean, you can come over here like as a member. I'm sure you'll find something that you know that you would like. There's like 10 indicators on a page.
So
I
there
mean,
are
it's
things
just
they let you download if you're a member, not an, or do you have to be an elite
all of
member to
these.
download anything?
Right, all of these are downloadable. I don't know. I don't know if you're. There's 10 on a page, and there is 43 pages here
Okay.
of indicators. I mean, it's fantastic as far as some of the stuff, and you can look at them and see whether you can use them or not. Um, but the indicators I use, for example, I got from right over here. I looked at these. What's the most popular indicator and why?
Hmm.
I mean, what is it? Here's the Super Trend U11. That's the one I use.
Okay.
There's also an M11.
Hmm.
This MACD BB lines. I use that too.
Hmm.
I mean, they have. I mean, it's definitely worth $100 to be over here
Okay. Okay.
if you're trading, just because they have articles, trading webinars. You can ask questions. Some people will just show you how to code it up if you need that. I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, but you can come over here and just take a look for nothing. You can come over here to futures.io and just go through it and see. I'm not sure if you're a member what you can download. You
Right.
probably always get something that says you got to be an elite member to download.
I
So
believe that's true. I believe that's true.
right,
I am just
but
to let everybody know, I've sent them a note to see if I can get everybody a discount. I'm not optimistic, but I'll let everybody know if they answer me if they'll give us a discount on becoming elite members or not. So that
right,
might be possible, but they didn't answer yet.
okay, all right. But that's just now right here, for example, I've just put on a Bollinger Band, uh, and it's a 21 moving average in the Bollinger Band, and it's got the lines above because I like to see the price breakout on each side of the Bollinger Band. All right, so that's what's in here. Now this right here is an ADX. What is it? It's an ANA ADX VMA.
Yep, that I can supply.
Right. Okay. Because that's the one that I also have an RQ channel. I got make supply and demand zones in here, and super trend and a squeeze. Yeah,
Right.
that's what I have on here. I got that. This is the MACD. This now when this crosses zero, this tells me also I love to see something cross zero because you get a nice move.
Now, how do
This
you get your MACD to have my MACD obviously doesn't look anything like yours. It's much fatter. What did you do to change your MACD so it looks that way, or is that the MACD BB lines?
this is the ANA MACD BB lines.
Okay, so that's an
That's
indicator I believe that is out there that we can supply as well.
right. Now
Okay.
this Nasdaq hasn't been moving that well today. It's mostly sideways.
Okay.
So it hasn't done much. Usually it's got a lot more movement in it than what it's doing. So it's tough to make money today on this.
Okay. If you were going to use three indicators on the top charts that you couldn't live without on your price chart, what would they be? They'd be the AD VMXA, I assume, because that gives us our consolidation dots. That gives us the
Right.
yellow dots.
And I would
Super trend.
SMA 21 and super trend.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's because when the price goes above the 21, the SMA 21, you're in a buying mood, and if it breaks this super trend, this would be, well, right now we're in a plus super trend, so we're going up. If this was to break this and go then through the consolidation stuff, then that's definitely a buy or
Okay.
sell in this case. Yeah, and and we're working, but today the Nasdaq is not doing much of anything,
What other
just
indexes
sideways.
do you like if you were going to choose three, maybe you don't even use three, but if you did, what three indexes would you use?
Well, I also crude oil,
Good.
but
Okay.
crude oil hasn't been doing much this morning either. It's a typical Friday.
Right.
Fridays the market doesn't move much sometimes. That's crude oil. This is gold.
Okay.
Gold
We
has
are
been
working on a crude oil setup, so that we are working on.
okay. So now here's your gold. Now this is a 5 range. So I mean, I like the 5 range. When it breaks a 5 range, it's moving. But today, a lot of the markets are just whoa, they don't seem to be doing anything.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
they
that's
just
okay. I want people, so step people through. So I'm sure people are confused that they don't even know what 5 range means. Be kind enough, put your arrow at the 5 range. What he's talking
oh
about is that's a time chart. In other words, instead of 1 minute, it's a 5 range chart. And I'll show you how to do that, not to waste your time, Stephen. There's a way you can make your chart a 5 range or a tick chart or a 1 minute chart. It's very
well what
easy.
well like if we were to compare that, I go to data series and I change this range to a tick chart,
That's how you do
and
it.
then I do the 210 up here, and then say, okay, show the same chart in a 210 range. Okay, there's what the 210 looks like.
Right.
Um, it's viable. I have 210, 5 range, and 1 minute charts. I do them all. Now this looks like it's getting ready to make a move here, but now in here I also have this supply and demand. These gray zones are supply and demand, so you got to be careful. It's only going to come down to here and bomb.
What
I mean,
creates those? What creates those?
well, that's an indicator out on. It's a makes supply and demand. Is
Okay.
MK supply and demand I got off of FiOS,
Okay.
because every once in a while you're wondering why it only goes so far and stops.
Sure.
If you saw what the buyers and sellers were, you'd probably see, that's why it's. I like to be on the other side of these things because it's only going to come into this and stop somewhere and turn and go in the other direction.
Okay. So
Uh,
step people through how so you woke up, you just woke up, you went to your charts. How would you decide when to put the trade on, or just step people through the steps that you take to get ready to take a trade? You're looking at the
okay.
NQ. What are the things
Right.
that give you a heads up and get you started?
Well, this Anna squeeze, the purple dots at the bottom, but also this yellow line up at top. This is at ADX VMA.
Right. Right.
When that goes yellow, actually, I've got another one. I make it purple. You can
Okay.
change these colors, so
Right.
because I can't see it
Yeah,
that
your
well on this
yellows are hard to
screen.
see. That's right.
Right. So I have another screen. I just changed everything to purple. Uh, Now this is purple, and it also changes the price bars to purple. That's when this is there's the ADX. I changed that to purple so I could see it. But
Okay.
when that's level, that tells me that it's time to do something. All right. We don't have consolidation down here, but this is consolidation. The ADX VMA shows consolidation up here.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is when you can see them both, you see consolidation down here and you see consolidation up here. That's good. That's a good sign.
Okay, so explain up top, consolidation is when you have your lines that are straight, your yellow dots that are straight. That's one sign of consolidation.
Yeah. Okay. You're using dots. I'm just using a straight line. Okay.
Understood.
Yes.
We'll probably use
Yep.
dots because they're really easy to see. When you get down
Yeah.
below, explain to them down below what's specifically showing consolidation so they understand.
All right. Well, that's these dots down here in the Anna squeeze is the
Okay.
consolidation
When
here
they're
also.
purple, that's showing you the
Right.
beginnings where the starting of consolidation.
Right. So now the other thing I did is when these are equal to 0, what I did is I created a little market analyzer over here, and it's telling me who's in consolidation. For example, 6E is in consolidation, 6J, 6S is in consolidation, and that's what this is just a little market analyzer to tell me who's consolidating.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
So
that. You sent that to me, didn't you, as a template?
yeah, no, I just created that,
Okay.
and that was easy enough. So
And
anybody
then the
anybody
BB lines, those BB lines, how did they tell one that you're in a consolidation when they're at zero? When both of them are at zero together? Like
well
right where you are now?
yeah, I look for this crossover because that means that, all right, like this one did have a move in it,
Okay.
but that crossover tells me that we're going down,
That
which
it's
is good.
breaking out of the consolidation.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And then of course, the line up here now is changed to red, which is all right. Now we definitely going down. The yellow line is changed to red, so
Right.
that's a down consolidation right there
Okay.
on the NQ. Now we can just try this and see what we get here. Let's see if we get anything over here.
Now, would you consider that you're a little bit late to get in now because it's made a fairly
Yes.
decent? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I
No,
would have thought too.
this is late. This is late.
Right.
What I really like is when this comes back up here into the middle of the range and then starts down, and because this may be the end of this downward move right here,
Right.
just because
Right.
this market has been going sideways today.
Okay.
So
Like a normal discretionary trader, do you normally wait for a pullback and then trade off the pullback?
well, I like, yeah, when I trade a consolidation, I like it when the I've got a large range and the price range is back in the middle.
Okay.
Right, then I feel the best about that.
Okay.
Now
So you like your
this,
price in the middle.
yeah,
But how
this
big
is a
of a
little,
range, what rules would you use to not take a trade? What would stop you from taking a trade?
when the move has already been made, I wouldn't chase it.
Okay.
I it's gotta come back and consolidate before I get in.
How about the
Uh,
width of the range? If
well,
it's
if the
too
width, if the
wide,
range is, yeah, if it's so huge, no, I wouldn't, you know,
okay.
it's got to have a little something here.
And generally, it looks like you use 2 ticks above and below the range as a rule.
It's probably three right there.
Okay.
That's probably three. See,
Okay.
this is like almost at the bottom here. I don't know if it's going to go that much lower, but we'll
Right.
try it and see what we get.
Right. I
Uh,
probably personally wouldn't take that trade,
I
worrying that
wouldn't
it moved too far.
I wouldn't take it, you
Right.
know,
Right.
because now it's just, going, well, I wouldn't take it because it was too far down already.
Right.
Well, that took off anyway.
All right. All right.
All right. Well, it really took off.
And you
So
use small
there,
profits and targets so you make money fast. If I
right. Now
remember correctly, why don't you tell them about how you do your targets?
all right. Now that was 720. So now the 720 went to 845.
That
So
was
that was a
great.
$125 move right there.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't have taken that. Okay. The way I do my targets, for example, here let's go look at this. All right, because let's strategies here. Just go to strategies.
Yeah.
All right, and then we take a look at it. There it is, right there. So if I look at strategies, I'm doing simple stuff. I do like the first target is 4, the next one is 6. So in the case of the NQ, that's worth 20 and 30.
Okay.
So there's $50 there, and then I have a runner. I have a stop tick of 12.
Okay.
And after this thing has gone 4, and I pick that up, I immediately go to break even.
Okay.
So I can't lose after I've got that one. I can't lose anything.
Right.
After the 6, then I go to break even plus 2 because I'm going to trail it by 4. All right. That's what it does. It trails it by 4, because it got the second target at 6 when it started trailing.
Right.
And my trailing was four points behind that.
Okay.
And that's what you just saw. That move there was $125. So,
Okay.
but you saw it trail it. So,
Okay,
and
very good. So the risk you use is 12 ticks per contract
yeah, right.
to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've tested 16, and 16 seems it might even be a better risk
Okay.
as far as the thing coming back and taking me out.
Okay.
The 16 is nice. And then let me see up here. Well, I've got 20 on here. I'm doing 20 with the ticks above. That's 20 and 4 over here must be. All right. So when we look at that, those are actually 4 ticks, and this is 20 ticks back. Just that's what this range calls for here.
Okay. And that was
So
trading the NQ also. So you have different
yeah,
setups you use for the NQ depending on time of day, or
no, this is you could be 15, could be 20. So
Okay.
that's just what we've done today.
Okay.
But it hasn't been a great day on the NQ, but it's been all right. I mean,
If it's
720.
very volatile, will you use a smaller look back in general?
Just yeah, just yeah. Just say somebody's calling me for breakfast.
I heard, yeah.
But yeah.
But as
Okay.
a
So that
minimum look back, you like to use 15 at least, I thought you told me.
yes, this
Okay.
is true. Right.
Okay.
This is true.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's
So
great.
that's kind of
Uh,
what I do, and usually it takes itself out. That's why it's almost like a set and forget because it pretty much takes care of itself. All I really got to do is move 4 ticks and I'm golden.
okay. Because you're in the profit if you move 4 ticks.
Right.
Great.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Stephen? Or that's fantastic.
Um.
That was absolutely great. I see the dome. We never use the dome. I'm a dome
Oh,
hater
well,
because
I
of,
just like to see what's going on over here.
okay. Are you looking
I
at
like.
the bid and the bid and the ask basically and seeing what the
Well,
depth of,
I'm just well, what I'm doing is just watching this thing trail. That's
okay.
basically. I mean, yeah. No, I mean that's basically why I look at the dome.
Okay. You never trade off of it. You let everything work off the charts like we do.
Sometimes I trade off that over there.
Okay.
Just.
Okay.
But this little thing here is 6J is sitting at 0 right now.
Right.
So if I went up here and it says show me 6J what that's been doing.
Could you explain, do you mind explaining how you set that up so that I could set that up for everybody?
Oh yeah, no. That's well, yeah, no. That's actually easiest way to do it is and you can actually use any indicator. For
Okay.
example, I can come here and I say new market analyzer.
Okay.
All right, so there's where you get your basic market analyzer.
Right.
Then I go over here and I say, let's add the instrument list. I can add my default list over
Right.
here. So
Okay.
there's my default list. Everything comes in.
Yep.
Personally, I don't use bid and last, so I can come down to columns
Okay.
and I can say remove that and remove that.
Okay.
All right, so remove those two. Say okay. So the only thing I got left here is ask price. But what I want to do is I want to put something in there. So I go to columns and I come up here now and I can add anything,
Okay.
including an indicator.
Ah.
Now I can choose, well, what indicator do I want to add? In my case, I want to add, in those right there, I add the squeeze. All right,
Okay.
add the squeeze. All right. And now when it comes, and then I can change the label of that column to whatever I want. But now here you got alert conditions, filter conditions, sell conditions. I come over here on sell condition and I say new, and I says if this indicator is equal to 0, I want to change it to green.
Okay.
Boom. And I say okay, and there it is.
Okay.
It actually takes that indicator. Now, the beauty part here is you can refer to any indicator. You can put all sorts of indicators up on here. So this market analyzer can tell you, almost anything.
Okay. And then you can save that as a template. I'm sure if you put your
Yes, I
mouse
can.
on it
Yes,
and right click
yes, I
it.
can.
Yeah,
Right,
because I've saved a volume one as a template. Okay.
right. So
Great.
it's telling me who's doing what as far. But
Great.
I could pick, this. I could pick this down here when this was equal 0. I could say,
Right.
hey,
Right.
something just crossed the 0 line. Come over and take a look at it.
Right.
We could do that as well.
Yep.
So,
That's a great tool. That's a great tool. Okay.
yeah, you can just make up your own market analyzer for
Right.
whatever you want.
Okay.
So and then basically here, this one I did a 210 tick, a 1 minute, and a 5 range. So,
Okay.
and what happened when I picked that and a range up there, it says, well, what do you want? What's the period of time you want on it?
Okay.
And then I also look at the daily high, daily low. If I'm too close to a high or a low, I might stay away from it also.
Okay.
Because if we have to do a new high to make it move where it's got to move, maybe yes, maybe no. It all
Okay.
depends on how the thing is moving.
Okay.
So, yep. So,
All right. If you want, you could make me the presenter again. Don't close the webinar, whatever you do. I
okay.
think you can.
Now, how do I do
Now, maybe
that?
I have to do it. Let me see. I'll take a look real quick and see if it's something I have to do, or let me find it. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I've got it back. I'm good. Stephen, thank you
Okay.
so much for the help. I really,
Good.
really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Alrighty.
Okay. So everybody, let me start to go through a couple of the questions. That's a lot for one day. Let me just backtrack a little bit. Everybody obviously chooses the indicators they want to use. A very, very firm believer in trying to keep it as simple as possible. James definitely recorded. I'll make a recording of it. Like I don't have the BB on my chart, but I like that BB on his chart, so I'll probably add that. What I will tell you all right now is I have a little sheet that I made. It's incomplete because we're not done yet. This is the idea, just so everybody, I'm going to say it again, was to let everybody know you have this very powerful tool at your disposal that can be used um, when the news trading is very slow. And my goal, whether I get there or not, depends on how much news trading we have. But let's say we have a day where there's no news trading. Maybe it would be nice if we pick a couple of hours out on that day to just do some consolidation trading. That might be a way just keep everybody interested, make a little bit of money, hopefully, and on slow news days. So that's one approach. I'll discuss with the bosses, what they want to do, how they want to handle it. But at a minimum, first of all, we're believers and we want you to have the tools. You can trade whenever you want. You don't need me. You might need me to help you get set up to start, but once you're set up, you'll do what you want. Okay. So let me go through the questions. I'll tell you what indicators I'm using. See how mine show dots, and I made it very clear so it's easier to see. And that's just a question of choosing the right colors and choosing the right dots, right color for your dots so you could see them. I always use the open, high, and low on my charts. You know that. So, I mean, that's something that I use on my charts. I've got a 21 tick. I have a panel 2, and in the panel 2, I use a 3 and a 21 tick SMA. EMA on the 21 and an SMA on a 3, and it really doesn't matter. They could both be SMAs or EMAs. It's fine. It doesn't matter. The idea is to get the crossover. I use the Anna squeeze, which is all over the internet for free, uh, to give us a heads up that we're in a consolidation. If you take a look, very often when the Anna squeeze gives you the purple dots, you're going to find that your yellow dots are showing consolidation as well. Okay. The idea is to enter when it breaks out of the consolidation. Okay. And we're going to work on a set of rules for reasons why you would enter. And look at this crossover in this area here. It was a little bit early, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. You could wait until You get a couple of red candles before you enter. You could wait till your super trend turns brown. Okay. You could wait until your line turns red. There are plenty of signals. That's the 200. Okay. So you could wait till you get under the 200 if you want. There are many, many different things you can do to help you to figure out when to get into the trade. KW, I don't know if the Anna squeeze is available for NT8 or not. If it's not, probably the R squeeze is available. I'll check on that. R squeeze would be usable also. Okay. I'm sure there's some squeeze available for Ninja 8. I can't believe that there's nothing. So we'll find something. I'll find something. I'll look. R squeeze. Um, you've seen it on my charts before. I don't know if I have a chart open right now that has it on it. Let me see. I don't. But you've seen the R squeeze. The R squeeze looks like this. But you could see that my charts are very clean. You know what? I thought I had an R squeeze. Let me show you. And I have the R squeeze. That's what the R squeeze looks like. So you're in a squeeze here. You're in a squeeze here. Okay. Um, the Anna squeeze is not required, so don't worry. There are a million different things, KW, that you can use to help you find direction. Okay. And if we do it in the room too, we'll do it together and we'll be careful about where we enter. We're not going to do anything crazy. We never do in this place. We're always very conservative. Okay. I, I, the thing that this gives us is, like I said before, it gives us a way to trade when news is slow or we have some extra hours to trade, or you want to trade on your own. We have a method for you to use our software to do it. Okay, and manage the trade. That's really the big deal here, is that our software has this tool in it that can help you manage discretionary trading. That's what we discovered, and that's what I wanted to share with you. And of course, the earnings. I love earnings. I just love it. And if we can find a way to trade events that create large movements in indexes like earnings, I'm game. Okay. It may be that you could use the Fed to trade this instead of our report. You don't have to do everything the way that we do it. So let me go through all the questions. People are going to want to know, what about the indicators? Where do I get the indicators? I think that what I will do to save me time and energy is, if people will just chill for a day or two, I'll figure out where I'm going to put the indicators. I'll probably put them on our website. I don't want to put anything up that's inappropriate, that we're not allowed to share. If it's not available for free on the internet, then it might just be that we have to become members of Futures IO to get some of the indicators if you feel that you need them. Okay, I leave that to you. This is a business. Uh, Chantal, he had a stop of 12 on his NQ. And it seems like he left, Chantal. I don't see him right now. Uh, so I'll have to ask him that. I don't see him in the room. Chantal wanted to know. Oh, I see you, Stephen. You're in a different place. She wanted to know if you had a general daily stop that you use. If you're trading this way, because this is discretionary, how much are you willing to lose before you'll stop trading? And Chantal, that's a very difficult question to answer because everybody has a different answer for that. You know, it's going to depend on, I mean, he can give you an answer that might not relate to you because his account size is so different from yours. Okay. But maybe in a percentage, Stephen, might make sense. If you can think about it, you could let me know. Uh, you know, a lot of people live by that 3% rule, Chantal. If they lose more than 3%, 3 to 5%, they stop trading. That's enough. That tells you that things are not going well. Okay. So let me go back to the other workspace. My goal, I'm not sure that I'm going to use the Bollinger. Uh, I understand why Steven's using it. Everything that everybody does is by choice. You can add extra indicators that we don't use. I don't have to tell you all this stuff. Uh, but we will have a setup that we're going to use, a basic setup that you can build on. Okay. We'll have a JOBB setup and a template that I'll be able to supply to you very soon. Okay. We're close. We're close. What we haven't tested is we haven't done a lot of trading with it. Steven's done a lot of trading with it. Okay. So minimally, my charts are going to look something very, very close to what they look like right now. And I'll go over what's on my charts. Probably what I'll do, as much as possible, I'll put on our website and I'll send a link for how to get it. Okay, so you don't have to send me an email asking me for indicators. I'll have a file. I have a file now that lists most of the indicators that we use. I'll make sure it's in this recording. Okay. I use the 200 SMA. I like to know if price is above or below it. I use the Anna squeeze. I set the length to 15. I use a panel 2. And in panel 2, I have a 21 tick EMA and a 3 tick SMA. And when they cross over, it is an alert for me. Okay. All right. So that's something that I have on the chart as well. So that's important to me. Now, Stephen uses, I know we've been going long, but I don't feel like we've been going long. So you know me, I'm willing to spend time in these sessions if it helps you. Um, the other thing that Stephen had, Stephen, what was the one you had down below? It was the MACD BB lines. Is that what it was? Because that's all over the internet. I know I have that indicator floating around. See, originally I wanted to use the Hyperscalp, but Hyperscalp's not free. And I don't want to make people buy stuff. I use current day OHL. You know I do. ADV is a key indicator, part of this, that creates the yellow lines. Super trend, okay? The correct super trend. And of course, I use the one tick range trade to manage the trade. That's the whole point, okay? That's the whole point. Let me just look at the correct name for you. Anna Supertrend U11 is the one that I cannot find for free. Okay? And as Steven says, it's worth being a member, it looks like to me, of Futures IO for $100. They have so much stuff on there. If you're not willing to invest $100 in your business, think of this as your business. That's a very small investment. Most people that own a business invest way more than $100. Okay? So I'm not going to feel guilty if I'm sending you out there and saying, look, you need to invest $100. Okay. I'd like to save you the money. I'd like to make it 50, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm not optimistic. I just know the people that run that website. I don't think they're real, what's the word? User friendly all the time. I could be totally wrong. Okay. R squeeze is the other indicator. It's all over the internet for free. It's all over the internet. And I'm putting this stuff in here for the sake of the recording so you could reference this stuff. Okay? All right? The one thing I'm missing is that MACD BB lines. I don't have the name quite right. Let me just look in one more place. I know I have it, so I'll find it. And I know it's called something like MACD BB lines. That's what works down at the bottom. So there's not a lot up here. I also have a 21 SMA, that black thick line. Okay. Steve, are you using an SMA or an EMA? Anna MACD BB lines is the correct name. Okay. Thanks, Stephen. And are you using a 21 SMA? Okay. He's using a 21 SMA. So all this stuff, this is panel 2. That's important. Okay. Different panels. That's so it's separate. So your chart is not a mess. I don't want messy charts for people. You can't read them. Okay. What was the indicator with purple lines? The one that I've got with purple dots, KW? Because I don't know one with purple lines. Steve, did you have an indicator with purple lines? Was that the Bollinger? He had he'll answer me, I'm sure. Stephen had a Bollinger Band. Your AD, oh, he set his ADVXMA to purple lines, KW. He had set the ADVXMA to purple lines. Okay. I just have it set, and you can set it to anything. That's a key indicator in this game. Okay. That's a key indicator in this game. All right. Now, don't forget, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and randomly start doing this. Test, 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 sim, sim, sim. But you have a method here, a potential setup, okay? And you have to, what we're working on now is tweaking it, okay? We're tweaking it. That's the best way I could put it. Because look how well it's working. Crossover here of the super trend line, great long signal, also with the arrow. Also, you don't have a crossover here, but you sort of do, if you know what I mean. You have an incredible amount of confirming information here to go along here. Incredible amount. What is the rising falling neutral? Chris, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What is the rising falling neutral? Top right of my chart. Oh, that comes from one of the indicators. That comes from the indicator, Chris. I believe that's from the ANA VXMA alerts. It comes from the indicator. Right now, it's saying that price is neutral because it's in a consolidation. Yellow lines, consolidation. It could break out fast too, right? But you might not take that because I don't have enough confirming. I'm not sure I've got enough confirming. May not be quite the setup I like. I like it's going to work. It's going to work because it's bursting. It's bursting out. What do you mean fat tails, Stephen? What does that mean? That's the place they come from? I never heard of them. The Anna indicators. Okay. They're from a company called Fat Tails? Because I don't want to give away stuff that we're not supposed to give away. But it's terrible. Their stuff's all over the internet. So you do what you want on that, okay? I have to be very careful about what I make available. If something is available for sale, I cannot make it available unless it's everywhere for free. If it's been in the public domain for so long, I'm not going to give it away, but I'll tell you where it is. Okay? I'm not giving stuff away because it puts my company in jeopardy. Okay? So you probably shouldn't ask me for something. You can ask me where something might be found and make Google your best friend, right? Make Google your best friend. Let me go through the rest of the questions. I think we've covered enough for today. Just for today. This is just the beginning. Okay? Just the beginning. Chantal, do you have anything to add that you think I left out that you think is very important that people need to know? Stephen, you too, if you think there's something I've left out or wasn't clear on. And then I want to go back and make sure I got every single question. Lucas, you're going to send me an email. Chantal doesn't like the second panel. She doesn't think it's necessary. Okay? The reason I like it, Chantal, is because I'm so bad at looking at charts. It just gives me a great heads up. That's why I like it. But that's a personal choice. Okay? Chantal is smarter than me, so she's really good with charts. I need that extra heads up. But look, this worked. You could tell it was going to work. It was rising. It was worth the risk. And now you've got the blue buy and a green arrow also. Chantal believes you don't need those EMAs. That's why she doesn't use the second panel. She believes they're just not necessary. Okay? But so today you sort of got Stevens set up. Okay? You sort of got Stevens set up. And then I'm going to make Chantal, and she doesn't know it. She does know it. I'm going to make Chantal give me a sheet of paper that has her set up. And then I'll have a sheet of paper that has my setup. And we'll have an earnings setup. Okay? Because not everybody's going to do it exactly the same way. The question is, why was this a possible good buy? Stephen, in your mind, was this a good buy here? I'd like to do that, Colleen. She speaks French, so that's one of the issues. But she has some great ideas, so I'm bugging her to do a webinar too about this because her setups are different. And it's great to get different setups for the same thing so you can make choices. Okay. So I think I've given you, I will include this paper. Well, this paper, I'll send everybody the recording. How's that? Everybody will get the recording. Fair enough? Everybody will get the recording. So you can stop it. You can look at this paper, write everything down. Okay? Yeah, I would look for earnings companies. Absolutely, Julio. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of Apple, Google, Alphabet. Netflix isn't working, but I would look again just because I'm a lunatic. I think somewhere in Netflix has got to be something. Amazon, IBM, Western Digital, TI, and I don't know if some of those are going to work. Some might. There might be some banks. JP Morgan, I'm not sure. Okay. Those are things that if you find one, tell us. This is a group collaboration. Nobody can do all this on their own. That's why we have this trade room. I've said it a million times. We collaborate and help each other together. I need your help. Go ahead, Julio. Because nobody knows everything. It's impossible. AM, there was one question I didn't answer for you. Email me and I'll make sure I answer it. Okay? Okay, Julio. Um, I'll show you the indicators once more that I'm using. So I'm using a 210 tick chart. Okay? Now for earnings, you should experiment with a 1 minute chart also, in my opinion. Okay? AM, I can go back and look at it, I think, and find it. Experiment also with a 1 minute chart. And there's no reason why you can't experiment with a 5 minute chart. You could experiment with anything. Stephen used a 5 range chart on some of his stuff. Okay. Maybe on a slow day, a 5 range chart might work better. Okay. These are things that people should share. We need people to share this stuff. All right. If we share, look, even if we only do this once a week, wouldn't it be awesome to have 1 or 2 good trades a week that we didn't have? I think it'd be great. And you can do it 100 times yourself all day long, right? Once you understand how to do it. So I've got a 21, a 210 tick, and a 21 SMA. I'm using the ANA super trend. Current day open, high, and low. And then I have 3 and 21 EMA 21, SMA 3. That's the panel 2. I'm using ANA super squeeze, ANA squeeze. And of course, I have my Joe Bracket breakout utility. But the key is the ADV XMA alerts, version 1-5, whatever. That's the one I'm using. That gives me the yellow dots. It gives me the rising word, the neutral word. That's a very critical part. Very critical part. And there's no reason you can't use other indicators, but I think the best thing you can do, I haven't even tested things with pivots yet. And you know me with pivots. I like pivots. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions? Let me just go back and make sure I got every question answered. I'm going to work on Chantal for a presentation. And James has a great comment, no right or wrong or magic indicator. So true. It's how your brain relates to what you see. So use the indicators that help you to see the breaking of a consolidation, the price breaking out, price breaking down. That's what we're looking for in this trade. It's not complicated, right? Originally, I just wanted to have a very simple consolidation that I noticed, throw the trade on and walk away. That's what I originally was doing. Very unsophisticated, okay? Very unsophisticated. And I agree with James. Current day OHL and prior day open, high, low, close are very effective support and resistance magnets. Okay. Chantal, I believe, is going to make a market analyzer for us if I can beg her. Okay. The market analyzer is a great way to look and see what charts to look at that might be at zero. That's what Stephen was saying he uses the market analyzer for. Okay. So just everybody be patient. This isn't all going to happen today. Give it a week or two. To be honest, I'm only one person. Okay. Make Google your friend. Don't depend on me for every little thing because I don't have time to do every little thing. Okay. So help me to help you, as they said in Jerry Maguire, right? Help me to help you. You've seen the indicator list. I'm just going through the questions. Does anybody have any last questions? If you have questions that didn't get answered, please just email me. Colleen, there's a different indicator. It has to say alerts after it. That might be, let's take a look. The ADVMA indicator that I use says alerts after it, Colleen, also, okay? And it's set up, I use a 7 period, conservative true, all right? I don't show the diamonds, I just show the arrows. I show the text on top. Falling red, neutral, the dots is neutral. It's under plots, neutral must say dots. Okay, Colleen? That will make it dots. So right here. I think it defaults to dot, Colleen, or dash style, plot style. Plot style. I have it on dot. Okay? It's a different indicator, Colleen. The one I'm using is actually a different indicator. Okay? Mine says alerts after it. I like it better. So find the one that says ADVXMA, ADXVMA alerts. That's the one I like. And again, if everybody's patient, I'll find out if they're going to give us, if they're willing to give us a discount at Futures IO if we send them a lot of people to become elite members. They might not, they might. Some companies, they'll like the advertising. So I'll let everybody know that kind of stuff. Stephen also likes the 290 tick for the NASDAQ. Any special time, Stephen, or just in general? For some reason I thought you spelled your name with a P. Okay. This will all be in the recording. No reason to panic. I'll render the recording and send it to everybody that came to this webinar. So you don't have to worry. Any last questions? Because we've been here for a very long time. Very long time. I'd love to start off with an earnings play. So I'm going to look for something. And maybe we'll have a little earnings party. Earnings is always fun anyway. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun, especially if we could find a way to make a little money doing this. And Steven's making money, and if we're careful and smart, we should be able to make money too. Okay? So, did we lose anything today by not trading University of Michigan? Did I deliver what I promised I said I would deliver? Netflix is January 22nd. However, I will warn everybody, and Arthur, you too, the Netflix testing has not gone well. Netflix testing has not gone well. I don't think we lost anything by not trading University of Michigan. It's been a crappy trade. I mean, I want to trade good news trades. We've made some good money trading good news trades. Why trade bad ones? Let's be smart about the way we trade the news. Okay? Don't give me grief if we don't go live on something. Let's be smart about it. That's how I'm doing it. So, I think we got something good here. That's what I think. I lost my chart. What? I'm so stupid. Oh, I got it. Here it is. All right. Final questions? Anything before we go? Everybody? You want to see what's up next week for news? Take a look. Forex Factory. It's Friday. Do our usual Friday look. Next week, I can give you an idea for sure what we're going to trade or what we're working on. Monday. We don't usually trade Canada wholesale sales. Looks like Monday there's nothing. Tuesday. Wow, is this week going to be this slow? Another slow week. We used to do the zoo, but it hasn't been working. Tuesday, maybe we'll do another webinar on this stuff if it's this slow. Wednesday, we know we have oil. We have British average earnings, claimant count, crude oil. If you're crazy, the New Zealand CPI. IFO Thursday, I'll probably get up early. It's possible. It's a quiet week. Minimum bid rate, we're looking for a better trade on this. Okay. Canada retail sales is a trade. That's a definite news trade. Okay. New home sales. It's definitely one of those trades that it's been weak lately. I'm going to look for a better trade on it. Natural gas is a definite, but it is a quiet week. Preliminary GDP quarterly. For overseas people, that's been a slow moving report, believe it or not, even though it's quarterly. And we do have a big US trade on Friday. We have to be careful. And Canada. You have advanced GDP trading with core durable goods. I don't think that's normal. I'll take a look. And I didn't even look at investing.com yet. We'll have plenty to do next week. Plenty to do. All right. There's always plenty to do. All right, folks. I'll see everybody. Have a great weekend, everybody. Email me questions, and I'll talk to everybody later, okay? Take care, folks.